I've only said 3 times that I believe that one particular person is going to become a champion in the UFC. I said it about Daniel Cormier. I was right. I said it about Chris Weidman. I was right. And I also said it about Cory Sandhagen. And that one, of course, remains to be seen. He gets an opportunity, above all else, to prove me right on October 30th because he is now replacing Aljamain Sterling. He's fighting Petr Yan for the interim Bantamweight title in Abu Dhabi, and he's kind enough to join us right now via the Magic Zoom. Cory, how are you?
I'm good, Ariel. How you doing, man?
Few things make me more excited than seeing MMA fighters with AirPods in their ears, because that one on the left is hanging on for dear life.
Yeah, it'll need to be adjusted a few times while we do this.
Cory, this is all about me here. You know this, right? This is my chance to finally tell everyone I told you so. Now, does it count if it's an interim title? What do you think?
Maybe in this circumstance, I think it might. I think everyone sees Yan as like, the champ of the division, the best in the division. So I think in this case it will.
Okay, so I was actually going to ask you that later on, but I'll ask you this now. In the past, we have seen a lot of times where a guy wins an interim title and, they don't even take the belt, they put it down, they give it to their coach. They don't feel like, because it's Yan, because of how the last fight went, will you feel like the champion of the division? Like, will this mean, sort of like Dustin Poirier, it meant a lot to him very clearly when he won the interim title. Will you have the same reaction if you win on the 30th?
I think it will mean a lot, man. I think with how bad, because it never feels real until it actually is real. And now that I'm fighting for, a belt, a UFC belt, even though it's an interim one, it would feel like I was the champ, man. It would feel that way. I would definitely know that I have some, quieting of the voices maybe about the, the Sterling loss that I've had and then the TJ loss that I had and stuff. But those will be very exciting rematches, I think, in the division also. So I think I'm excited, man. And it would feel like I was the champ if I do win against Yan.
Okay, so now let's take a step back. When do you first get word that this is a possibility, that this might happen, that you will replace Aljamain Sterling?
When was it? I think I was out in Vegas because I was doing the fan experience stuff for not last weekend, but the weekend before his fight. And got told that Sterling was pulling out and they were going to need a replacement. And if I could be that guy, and I said, absolutely, I would be that guy because I was kind of planning on it anyways. And it turned out that I became that guy.
What do you mean you were planning on it anyways?
Well, I just didn't want to, I didn't want that opportunity to pass if that was going to be the case. I sat long and hard with it because I was, feeling like I needed a little bit of a rest after the last one. It was kind of, a tough one to take a little bit. So I kind of wanted to rest my mind a little bit. And then I got to thinking as the fight got closer and closer, about like 9-8 weeks away, I was like, man, I'm just going to train hard for this one because if something does go wrong and they ask me to do it, I don't want to be caught with, my pants down. I don't really want to be the guy that has to say no because he can't make weight or miss out on a huge opportunity like that. So I had been planning on getting ready for this for about like 8 or 9 weeks now.
Wow. So how long into your training camp are you into? Like, when did you actually start this?
I started it maybe like super hard, probably 6 weeks. And then, I was kind of, like in the gym helping teammates and stuff, not pushing myself to the point of like a 5-rounder because that would be really heavy to do just, in normal life. But I've been getting ready for it for a little bit, and I've been thinking about Yan and fighting Yan for a really long time now. So the pieces are kind of falling together, man. And I'm really grateful for it.
So would it be inaccurate to call this a short notice fight for you? Like, you're going to get plenty of time to prepare for this.
Yeah, I'll get plenty of time, like I said, it's never real until it becomes real. But, I don't anticipate that I will be any, and of course I would say this, but I don't think I'm going to be any less of a fighter just being the way that I took it versus if I had, 10 weeks for sure notice on it.
By the way, what's going on with the left eye situation there? It's kind of staring me in the face. I just want to ask, what is that's
this one?
Yeah.
Just a bump.
Okay. All good?
I've been working hard, man. I've been working hard.
Okay. So no concerns there?
No.
Okay. I'm sorry for asking, but it was just like right there. I'd feel like an idiot if I
Yeah,
didn't.
thanks for pointing it out.
I'm sorry. I was right. I was like right there. I mean, there's some.
I was gonna wear sunglasses, but then I thought that you'd think that I was just big time and everyone now.
I know. Yeah. I mean, you're about to become champion. You're a superstar. Okay. And so correct me if I'm wrong. They did call. I heard they called TJ and Rob. Did you hear that too?
I don't know. I don't know if they did. I know that they probably asked around is my guess, but I'm not really 100% sure of the situations of everyone else now.
Were you worried that they might go with O'Malley because he seemed to want it and was putting it out there?
No, not really.
Why?
No, I think that would have kind of been ridiculous for like the real fans, right? Like someone who hasn't even really fought in the top 10 for him to jump to a championship fight would have seemed a little ridiculous. I think that he'd probably agree with that too.
I'm wondering if part of the reason why you were also preparing was, I mean, when Aljo was on my show last month, he was even implying that he wasn't 100% healthy and clear. Like, did you feel like they maybe rushed into this? And so you said, like, there's a very good chance a neck doesn't fully get to 100%. He won't get cleared. This is my chance, right?
Yeah, when they announced the fight and that it was going to be in October, I was really surprised and kind of raised my eyebrows a little bit. Like, oh, he's going to take a fight that soon? Okay. Again, I didn't really know the guy's situation, so I was like, okay, I guess we'll see if he can do it then. But I do recall him saying over and over again that he wanted to fight in November. And when they said October, I said, oh, well, that's definitely not what he would have preferred. So I kind of knew that. Yeah.
Do you think he should be stripped?
No, not really, man. With the way that it went, like I think that would be. It depends how long he really has to be out for, like I think that it would be kind of a bad way to strip someone for, one, he got a really flagrant foul on him in his last fight, and that's what got him the belt. But also, man, like the guy is actually injured, like that guy had actual neck surgery. So I don't think that you should strip someone for getting flagrantly fouled or for having like a legit injury,
I have,
unless it's going to be a long time.
Right. I feel like you get a year as champion. And if you don't defend the belt within a year, then it's open for discussion. He's only had the belt for, 7 months. So I still feel like if he comes back in January or February, he should be the champ. Regardless of how he won the belt, I feel like everyone deserves that. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I guess if you want to get really detailed with the logistics of it, I think, I don't know, man, nine months sounds good.
Okay. Ooh,
I don't know.
okay.
I think that if you're not fighting within 9 months, then yeah, I think that you should get stripped. I think a year is a really long time to keep people waiting, like you don't get a ton of fights. You don't get a ton of time in this sport, especially in your prime. And I think that making someone wait at least a year is kind of a long time.
Okay. Wow. Fascinating. And Yan, I mean, obviously was winning that fight. I'm assuming you thought he was winning that fight. What interests you about fighting him? What impresses you about fighting him?
I think Jan's just a really good fighter, man. I think that I think people see him as one of the best guys in the division. I think that he's like a real fighter's fighter, man. Like he goes in there, he tries to take people out. He's super tough, and you can tell that he has like a very technical and good style. So I think he's just like a really impressive dude, and I think that he's like a fighter's fighter. Like I can respect him for that reason.
What do you mean by fighter's fighter? What does that mean?
Like, I don't think that he tries to cut any corners in trying to win, like I think that, I think that a lot of people have to figure out tricky ways to try to, squeeze out decisions or like get the aesthetic of things to look like they're the ones that are winning. And I don't think Yan does it. I think Yan goes out there to try to like knock people out and hurt people. And I can respect that because that's the same thing that I try to go in there and do too.
Aljo told me last week he thinks you win.
Yeah, he told me that last week too.
Oh yeah. He told me, he said it to you. Where'd you see him? In Vegas? In the locker room or something?
Yeah, I saw him in Vegas.
Yeah,
in the crowd when we were watching the fights.
So what happened? What did he say to you? He came up to you and said what?
There's no drama, man. I walked by him. I said, hey, man, I hope your neck gets better. He said, I'm looking forward to the rematch. I think that you do really well against Yan. I said, okay, I'll see you then.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is nice. I mean, what a story though, right? Imagine if you win the interim title and then you get the rematch in the unification bout of this fight that obviously you felt like should have gone completely different last June. You couldn't have scripted this any better.
Yeah, definitely couldn't. And then even the way, the last fight went with TJ, like I would really like to correct a few little mistakes that I feel like made the aesthetic of the fight look like TJ was winning, although I don't think that that was the case at all. And I don't think he thinks that was the case at all either. So I would really, really like to get those 2 L's off of my UFC record, man. And I think that that could be like a really beautiful story as far as just me being able to actually be able to call myself the best, because not too often do you get to lose to someone and then actually be able to rematch them when you're the champ. And I think that that would be a really awesome way to do to have it go down.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's take another step back and talk about July. 3.5 months later or so, no, 3 months later, maybe a little less. You feel like you won that fight, right?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I won that fight.
What do you think? You went 3-2?
I think, yeah, 3-2. Only because, the first round I did spend like a decent amount of time on my back, but there wasn't really any shots that were landing, and I was chasing a lot of the submissions in the first round anyways. And actually it was one of the submissions that I was going for that actually put TJ on the bench and put him in surgery after our fight, which is the reason that I'm fighting in this interim belt right now. So yeah, man, I think one was close, but I still think I did more of the damage, but I was also on my back and I know how these things are scored. So let's say he gets 1, I definitely blow him out of the park in round 2. Round 3 was close. Round 4 was close. Round 5, I think that I had. And that's kind of how I scored it. I also just, without getting going too much, because I've kind of moved past it and I'm really focused on Yan now also. I think that holding a body lock that needs to be seen as a neutral position, man. Like that's not a winning position, especially if you can't take the guy down. Even if it is a winning position in the wrestling world, we're not in the wrestling world. We're in the world of fighting and who can hurt who and who's doing more damage to the other person. And a body lock is a neutral position, in my opinion. The guy has to be locking his hands in order for him to be controlling me. And when he's locking his hands, he can't do any damage to me. So
how long did it take for you to get over that? Because you could tell, I mean, you were very upset, and rightfully so. Very close fight. I scored it for you. Great fight. One of the best fights of the year. But it's a big deal to beat TJ Dillashaw. And it was, I guess, somewhat personal. How long do you feel like it took for you to get over it? Or will you not get over it until the Yan fight happens?
I think I'm over it. I think that I'm kind of done thinking about it. Like it doesn't really pop into my head as much as it used to. But when I do think about it, I do get, I just don't like that the history books wrote it that TJ won that fight, because I think, one person walked out of that cage beat up and the other person didn't. And I don't blame anyone. I think that that's my fault for taking my foot off the gas also. So there's mistakes that I made that I kind of have had to sit with and accept in myself. But I would say that I'm pretty over it,
But okay, so then going back to the initial question, I'm just curious, like for us, we watch a fight like that and we talk about it Sunday, Monday, and then it's on to, there's another fight the next week and then the next week. And then, so like, do you have a moment, you're a supreme athlete and, a pretty mild mannered guy, but I know you take this very seriously and you're intense about your career. Do you need to stay away from the gym for a week or two? I think you actually got engaged shortly thereafter, right? Didn't you get engaged?
Yep. Me and my fiance now got engaged. Yep.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Maybe that helped. Maybe that helped get over it. I don't know. Like, did you need some time off from because it's one thing to lose. I would imagine it's one thing to lose to Aljo the way you did, but to feel like you got robbed after 25 minutes against a former champ, that's got to sting in a different kind of way, right?
Yeah, it stings in a different way. Honestly, it's a little bit easier to take on the chin though, because like I said, man, like I like to view myself as like a fighter's fighter. I like to view myself who, goes in there and tries to fight people. And that's what I did in that fight. And, not all of the judges gave it to me. And that's something that obviously I have to be okay with because that's the reality of it. But as like like being the fighter and being a martial artist, like one guy walked out of that cage beat up and the other guy didn't. And I was that guy that didn't walk out of that cage beat up. So like I said, I understand that it's a aesthetic competition and it's a sport also. So I need to obviously work on some things in that aspect. But like I said, being like a fighter's fighter, I think that it's a little bit easier to take on the chin. Still sucks to lose, but a little bit easier.
Okay. Did you hear? I think he said it to Submission Radio where he said like he couldn't see. I think it was after mid second round or after the second round. He basically just guessed when the ref was asking him questions. Did you see that?
No.
Could you tell that he was having trouble seeing?
He was blinking a little bit, man. I don't know. The guy has a lot of excuses coming off of a win. Like I've heard him talk about his leg. I've heard him talk about his eye. And it's like, if you don't want to have a fight where you can't see and you have two fair limbs, then like don't get your leg broken and don't get your eye punched. Like don't make an excuse about it.
How do you feel about him? We talked about you guys being training partners and all that. After the experience of fighting him, how do you feel about him?
The same, TJ is going to be a guy that I have to compete against. He's not really going to be a friend. He's not really, those two kind of don't mix very well for me, at least in this sport, because I am trying to beat the guy up and hurt the guy and, send him home more broken than I'm broken. So, I don't really see him as a friend, but I see him as a competitor in the division. And I think he's a really good competitor and I respect him for that. And that's about the only way that I see him.
If I could get deep for a moment, do you believe in things like the universe kind of, like it is able to correct itself? In other words, you should have won that fight and now here you are fighting for a belt and this is sort of like the universe correcting itself. Everything works out for like, do you believe in this sort of like, do you have a moment where you're like, oh, it sucked in July. I probably thought I had to take 2 steps back because now you got to reclimb the ladder. Now here I am fighting Yan, the uncrowned champ, who everyone sort of views as the champ for the interim belt on a big card. Like, are you that? I'm that type of guy. Are you that type of guy? Do you think about things like that?
Yeah, definitely. I would say I'm not, super particular on any religion, but I do have like a lot of I think religious beliefs. And I think one of them is that this thing is going to run its course and our destinies are going to be our destinies, whether we like them or not. And all that we can kind of do every day is do our best and try to listen to our intuition and listen to, not the ego every day and make sure that we keep it moving forward and stuff. But I definitely think that the universe is perfect and it works out in a perfect way. And it's in perfect harmony all the time. And this is, one of those times that it kind of gets to prove it to me.
Yeah, it's amazing how this all pans out. Back to Abu Dhabi as well, where you had a very nice performance. When was it? Last October, right? Time is flying.
Yeah, it was about a year ago now.
Yeah. How do you feel about going back to Abu Dhabi?
I love that place.
Yeah.
I have nothing but like happy things coming from that place. I'm really looking forward to it. I love Abu Dhabi. That hotel that we stayed in was awesome. The flight over was like super luxurious and I'm not like a very luxurious guy. So that was really exciting for me too. So, I'm looking forward to, staying up all day or I guess sleeping all day and then staying up all night just to get, stay on my sleep track and stuff and spend some time with, my corners and be really focused in that hotel where there's not really a lot going on and then going out and performing and, bringing the belt back and sitting it down right here on my kitchen table with me and, spending some time with that guy.
To the best of my knowledge, this is an afternoon card, so you're not going to have to be fighting in the middle of the night or anything like it was last year. What about the quarantining and all that? Is it the same type of rules as last year or has it changed?
I'm not sure if the hotel is quarantined, but I'm pretty sure that it's it's not like it's going to be last time. I don't know if you can actually leave the island or not, but I think that everything is going to be a lot more laxed as far as like the rules on where you can go and who you can be around. And I remember last time we had to quarantine for like 48 hours with our corners in the same room. And that was kind of, I don't think that we have to do that. That was kind of a long 48 hours, 3 guys in a room.
I mean, it's a nice room, but it's not that nice, right? I mean, like 48 hours.
No, not nice enough for 3 guys.
No. And by the way, you mentioned with regards to the TJ Dillashaw fight, like there were things that you felt like you did that made the fight seem closer than it really was. What are you referring to there?
I think I gave up my back a little bit too much to fight his hands. Because it's a little bit difficult, man, because when I walk into training and I'm trying to like make up my game and make up my style and make this thing exciting for people, and make it exciting for me and not boring for me. I have to go into it like, okay, well, damage is the thing that scored the most. So like, can I get hurt from here? Can I not get hurt from here? And how do I hurt someone from these spots? So so an example of that would be the body lock, right? Like someone grabs a body lock, you give your back, they lift you up and mat return you. That's like points in wrestling, right? But in MMA, if they're not slamming you on your neck or making you hurt or anything, it's like, well, what is that even worth? You know, that's just energy on the other person's part of just lifting you up and putting you down for what reason, you know, so that it looks aesthetically like you're the one that's being in control, but you're really not doing any damage. So I would say that is kind of one position that I should have just understood, like, I guess that does look a bit passive. It doesn't look maybe as aggressive on my end, when really it's just TJ locking his hands as hard as he can so that I don't get away from him. So that I would say is one of them. And then another mistake that I think I made in that fight was I just wasn't throwing out enough volume. And I think that I just wasn't really experienced enough to understand that just because I won a round big and a guy is very beat up doesn't mean that these other rounds aren't scored the way that they're scored. They're scored like 5 individual fights. So you can't look at it like a basketball game where if you score 50 points in the second quarter, you can kind of play a little bit different in round or in quarter 3 and in quarter 4. You don't really get to do that in the sport. You have to look at each one like they're 5 individual fights, and just kind of looking at it more in that way and making sure that next time I go in there, I win every single round by a bigger margin than I needed to.
What do you think about open scoring?
I think open scoring would be good. I definitely know that I would have really loved some open scoring in the last fight.
Yeah.
I was kind of on the fence about it before too, but I don't see really what it would hurt. You know, like what would that hurt? In every other sport, you get to know the score at the end of the quarter. What would it hurt to do open scoring? I don't see any damage that would do. And, you know, if anything, that would, I think, make for more exciting fights, because round 3 and round 5, you know, if the guy knows that he's down, that could be a really huge advantage. And I think that it would be very fair.
I have been a big proponent of open scoring. The naysayers would say, oh, if someone's up 2 rounds to none going to the third non-title fight, they're going to stall, whatever. But, you know, there are rules against that, and it's a cage fight. Like, where are you going to go? You're going to run around? I just feel like, to your point, it will make for a very exciting 5th round, 3rd round. Also, I think if the fans know, oh, this guy has to win and you're pushing the pace, like you get that element of, you know, the last 5 minutes of a basketball game where a team is making a run. I really don't see why the sport, like we saw this past weekend with Kevin Holland. Replay, the sport is evolving, right? You're doing the right thing for the athletes. I feel like you guys deserve to know where you stand with all this money at stake, with these belts at stake, with this, like you deserve to know where you stand going into the 5th round. I feel like that's the least that they can do for you.
No, I completely agree. And I would also say to the naysayers that think that, you know, like someone would run in the 3rd round or whatever, it's like, is that not what other teams do when they're up in every other sport? That's like, do football players not kneel every time, you know, when they're up and there's a couple minutes left, if they can? Do basketball players not use the entire shot clock when they can? It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, you don't have to like it, man, but this is fighting and you have to fight smart. You know, It might not be the most exciting thing in the world. You don't see basketball games where people are just flinging 3-pointers up every single time that they get to the 3-point line, man. It's like, you have to fight and play smart, and that's just part of the sport.
It's not a great analogy, but imagine there was a basketball game and you kind of lose count and you don't know what the score is in the final minute, and you just have to like hope that you're within striking distance. It's crazy. It's crazy what you guys have to go through. Last thing for you, and then I'll let you go. Which one would mean more to you? You win the belt, obviously, against Yan, and then you get a shot at TJ or Aljo first. Who would you want to avenge?
I don't care. I don't care. It's something that I feel like I need to do with both of them anyway. So whatever order it happens in, it doesn't matter to me, but I definitely want to get those 2 L's off of my record before I retire. What
are we thinking? 25 minutes with Yan? Or are you feeling something else?
I don't really know, to be honest. Jan's a durable dude. Like I said, he's really good. He's like a fighter's fighter. He has been dropped in a lot of his fights. He has been shown that he can be hurt. But he also has shown that he's really good at fighting for 25 minutes too. So, you know, I don't really know, man. You know, I can make something up for you if you'd
No,
like,
it's
but
fine. Listen,
okay.
I'm just happy you're getting a title shot. I think this is great. I think you were the right guy to call. I think you should have been the first call if you ask me because of how that last fight went. But alas, it doesn't matter. You're getting the fight October 30th. And if you could just, you know, just consider, you don't have to tell me yes or no now, you know, you win the belt. You're there talking to whomever has the mic. It's probably not Rogan because it's an internet. Just be like, you know, I just want to give a shout out to Ariel, who was the first one to say that, you know, I was gonna be, if you want to, you know, like no pressure. But if you want to say it, I wouldn't hate you.
Got it. No pressure.
Okay. Thank you, Cory. Good luck to you. Thanks for doing this. And can't wait for the 30th. Appreciate it.
Yeah, right on, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right. There he is, Cory Sandhagen.